Now, sentence equivalence questions, it's a very unique fill in the blank question type. It contains one sentence with one blank in it. Now, this makes this question very easy. Okay, there is just one sentence and it has a blank. You'll just have to fill the blank. Now, there are specific rules for this question type. First rule is you have to choose two options to fill that one blank. Now, there will be 6 options. You'll have to choose 2 options. And how do you choose those 2 options? The sentence you get by plugging in option 1 in the blank must be equivalent in meaning to the sentence you get by plugging in option 2 in the blank. Okay. Now, this is the second rule. This is the most crucial rule in sentence equivalence question. A lot of people miss out on this. So what you need to be conscious about is whenever a sentence equivalence question appears, you have to choose 2 options. Even if you choose one option and that one option is one of the right answers, you won't get partial marks for that. You'll have to answer both the you'll have to choose both the right answers for you to get a whole point for that question. All right. And while choosing these 2 options, you must not choose just synonyms. You'll have to choose 2 options in such a way that when you plug in these options in the given sentence and get a complete sentence, those sentences you get, those 2 sentences you get are equivalent in meaning. Okay. Now, I can't stress this more. Do not go for synonyms. I can assure you, like 70% of the time, synonyms would be the answer. Okay, the 2 options that you choose, the 2 right answers will be synonyms. That is 70% of the time. There is 30% chance that the 2 words are not synonyms and yet make equivalent meaning in the sentence. Okay, so please be careful. Keep these 2 points in mind. You'll have to choose 2 options and not just synonyms. Those 2 options, when plugged in the sentence, will give equivalent meaning. It's not equal meaning, it's equivalent meaning. That is similar meaning. All right. Now, this is how a typical sentence equivalence question will look like. There will be one sentence. You may take what, 10 to 15 seconds to read this. That's all. Okay. And then there will be 6 options. You'll have to choose 2 options. Now, before going that, let's look at how to solve sentence equivalence questions. The first step in sentence equivalence question solving is never look at the options before arriving at your own answer for the blank. So I would do this. So whenever you're taking a test, it could be on a book, it could be on your computer, whatever you're doing, whenever you see a question, it's not just for sentence equivalence question, any text completion question or reading comprehension question, do not look at the options. This is a very crucial piece of advice I would like to give to you. The reason I'm asking you not to look at the options is, say you look at the options, you get a 1 or 2 words get stuck in your mind. When you read the sentence after that, our mind functions this way. It will try to plug in that word there and it will try to reason out how it is right. Okay, so if you get a first idea of, okay, this word could be the answer, without knowing exactly whether it's the answer or not, then your mind is biased. So try to avoid that bias. If you're taking the test on a computer, have a paper by your side, hide the options and look at the question. If you're doing it on a book, use your hand to hide the options. Whatever you do, do not look at the options. Okay, this is the first point I would like to tell you, because I've seen a lot of students struggle because they see the options and once they look at the options, they cannot unlearn it. Okay, they cannot unsee it. So whenever they read the sentence, that option comes to their mind and they'll read the sentence in that color. It biases you. Okay, so the first step in solving any discrete questions are basically text completion and sentence equivalence questions. Okay, so they are not tied to any passage or something, they are individual questions. So whenever you're solving any discrete question, do not look at the options. This is the first and foremost step. Follow this and then things will fall in place. All right, so first step, hide the options. So what is step 2? You have the question now, you don't have the options. Step 2 is every sentence equivalence question will have at least 2 parts in it. At least 2 parts. It may have more parts, okay, but it will have at least 2 parts in it, and the part without the blank holds the clue. Okay, this is clear. There will be two parts, at least two parts in your sentence equivalence question. Any sentence, it will have a while, or it will have but, although, whatever. Okay, it will have two parts in it, and you'll be able to split the sentence into two. And the part that does not have the blank will have the clue. All right, let's see. How will you split this? While the product is often criticized as being of blank value, comma, it has proven blah blah blah. Now, the comma is a great way to separate these two parts. You can clearly split it into two parts. It has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Great. So now we have clearly two parts. Once you split this, you know this part has the blank. So the second part is the one that will hold the clue for you. Okay, so you'll have to focus more on this part and understand what the clue is. Now there are a lot of words here. Which one would be the clue? Let's look at it step by step. Okay, this is a 7-step process. We are in the second step. Let's look at step 3. While the product is often criticized as being of blank value, it has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. We have already split the sentence into two parts. The third step is note down the transition words or phrases. Okay, so transition words are basically words that change the direction of the sentence. While, but, although, similarly, okay, surprisingly, ironically. So these are transition words. When I say surprisingly or ironically, you just mean you're expecting one thing and the opposite is happening. Okay, while, but, although, notwithstanding, nevertheless, there are so many transition words. There is a whole list of transition words. All you need to do is understand what function this transition word has. For example, while, but, although, even though, all these show contrast. Okay, similarly, words like that, they show that it's going in the same direction. They're more of a emphasis. All right, a lot of sentence equivalence questions will have these contrasting transition words. What you need to do in third step is note down these note down these transition words. Okay, so in the first part we have while the product is criticized as being of blank value. Okay, whenever this occurs, you can simply eliminate this while. You can just read the sentence this way: the product is often criticized as being of blank value. Instead of while, add but to the second part. That is also acceptable. Okay, while, although, even though, whenever these words are used, you can simply remove that word from the first part and add but to the second part. It's the same. Okay, just to understand it simply. Now, while the product is often criticized as being of blank value, there is a contrast word here. It has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Now, there is another contrast word here, surprisingly. That is, we were expecting something and we were surprised to find that something else was happening. Okay, that's all. You don't have to understand what else is going on in the sentence, just this. While the product is often criticized as being of blank value, but it has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Now, since there are two contrasting words, does that mean negative into negative is equal to positive? No, that is not how it works. Okay, unless you find a not somewhere here, you don't use a double negative concept. This is basically emphasizing that there is a contrast. Okay, surprisingly basically emphasizes that there is a contrast. You already used while. Even without surprisingly, this sentence will make sense just the same. Okay, you're just adding to the effect by adding surprisingly or ironically here. Okay, now what is happening here? What is the direction of the sentence now? The product is criticized as being of some value, fine, but opposite to how it has been criticized, something else is happening. Okay, so what is happening here is contrast. That's all. Just keep this in mind. There is a contrast in this sentence. Now let's go to step 4. Okay, whatever we have done so far is we have hidden the options and then we have split the sentence into two parts just to make sense and understand that The clue to solve the question will lie in the part that does not have the blank. Fine. The part that has the blank is already confusing. So let's look at the part that does not have the blank. That will have the clue for us. Fine. In the third step, we understood the transition words and what effect they have on this sentence. In this particular sentence, there is a contrast happening. There is a contrast that is shown in the sentence. Fine. What is step 4? In step 4, find the word category for the blank. Ideally, I would call this word category as part of speech. Okay, in sentence sequence questions, the options will all be single words, and a word can be only a noun, verb, adjective, or an adverb. Okay, but to spare you the grammar, let's not get too much into grammar. Let's just understand these words as naming words, action words, and describing words. Okay, what you're going to do is read this part, read just the first part, and understand what kind of word will go in the blank. Okay, this is a very crucial part. I'll also tell you why. You'll know why when we go to the fifth step. Okay, now what you're going to do is read just the first part. While the product is often criticized as being of blank value. Okay, now you're going to figure out what kind of word will go here. You're not going to figure out the word itself. You're just going to figure out what type of word will go there. Okay, now think of this. The product is criticized of being of blank value. Fine. So what you need to do is the blank describes the kind of value the product is said to have. Okay, so the blank basically describes this value, right? Being of high value or low value, right? So any of high, low, all these describe value. So what you need is a word that describes value here. So you're looking for a describing word. That's all. So you don't have to think too much about whether it's an adjective, adverb, none of those technicalities. All you need to know is the word that goes in the blank is going to describe the value in some way. So what we are looking for is a describing word. That's all, right? Now remember up to step 4. First step, hide the blanks, hide the options. Second step, split the question stem into how many ever parts there are. There will be at least 2 parts, and the non-blank parts, those will contain the clue. You may have just one non-blank part, or you may have more than one non-blank parts. That's fine, but that is the part that will contain the clue. Okay. In step 3, what we do is we look at the transition words and understand in what direction the sentence is turning. In step 4, you identify the word category for the blank. Okay, so far it's kind of scattered all over. In step 5, you will see the connection in whatever we have done so far, right? Let's go to step 5, a very crucial step. Look for the blanks word category in the non-blank part. This will be a clue. So it is to identify the clue that we split the sentence into 2 parts and then found the word category. Okay, so these 2 steps were done in order to understand what the clue was. Now, simply put, while the product is often criticized of being of blank value, the blank should be filled with a describing word. Fine. What we're going to do now is look for a describing word in the second part so that we can understand the clue. Okay, we can find the clue. Now you're all verbal detectives when you're looking at the verbal section. Okay, you're going to be a detective. You're solving it step by step, and in the end you have to arrive at the clue. The first step is to break it into 2 parts. First step is to not get distracted by the options. So there will be 6 culprits standing in front of you, and you'll have to find who the real culprit is. Okay, so you must not look at them first. You must not form any judgment previously without looking at the problem. Okay, so there are 6 suspects sitting in front of you. You cannot look at them. You must not judge them based on just their looks. So don't look at them. Break the problem into parts. Okay, and then understand what kind of culprit could have done that. done the crime. Okay, so that is what you're doing here. You're trying to find the word category, and then you're looking for clues in the second part. So that is the information you have. In that, you're matching with whatever you've already found. Okay, you have a word category here, which is describing word. Look for describing words in the second part. It has proven to be surprisingly adaptable. Okay, adaptable is a describing word. Adaptable describes it, which is basically the product. Okay, the product has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Now these two are describing the product. Great. Now we have some words that describe the product, and the product is criticized of being some value. Okay, so if we know how the product is described, we'll be able to find how this can be described. Fine. So these are the describing words we are looking for. This is the clue. See how it is hidden in the part that does not have a blank. Now this is the trick in solving sentence equivalence questions. That's all. Now you are very close to the answer. In step 6, all you need to do was put it all together. Okay. So you know that there is a transition happening. You found it in step 3. So there is a transition happening here. It is a contrasting transition, and you have the clue in hand. You just have to put them together to come up with your own word or phrase. Now, I would insist on this. Come up with your own word or phrase to solve the question. Don't look at the options even now. Okay? It could be in your mother tongue. It could be just a concept in your head. You may not have a word or phrase in your mind, but it could be a concept, which is also fine. But as long as it is specific, it's okay. Now, the clue is adaptable, useful in a wide range of circumstances. Okay, the product is adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Fine. The transition is contrast. So your answer should be something that is opposite to whatever this is. Okay, so the product is criticized of being of some value. The blank describes the kind of value the product is said to have. Okay, now for the blank, the answer should be the opposite of this, because there is a contrast and you have a clue in the other part. Fine. The opposite of adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Okay, take some device, a random device. It is surprisingly useful in a wide range of circumstances. Okay, so you did not expect it to be useful in several places. You thought it would be useful in only one place probably. Okay, and you did not expect it to be adaptable. You thought it would be kind of rigid and fixed to that particular use. That is what is happening here. So you are going to describe the value using the clue and the contrast. So how would you describe the value? It is not of wide variety, so you could call it limited value or low value. Okay, so since it cannot be adaptable, it has very fixed value. All right, something like that. Come up with your own specific words. Don't just say something negative or something positive, because in your options, at least 4 options would be negative or positive. So you cannot figure out which one the right options are. So come to something specific using the clues available. Something that is not useful in a wide range of circumstances is limited or fixed, or something that is not adaptable is of low value. That is how far we can get. Now have these in mind. Now go to the options. In step 7, you'll have to eliminate the options using the word that you came up with. All right, you came up with limited or low value. Look at each option and eliminate them based on these words. Okay, first, nominal. This is where you get tricked. Okay, this is a trap answer. Nominal is a positive word. Okay, it means low. Yes, it means affordable. Okay, when you say this product comes for a nominal price, you mean that it comes for a low price, which is a good thing. Okay, nominal is usually used in good contexts. It is a positive word. Now the product is often criticized as being of nominal value. Okay, so if you criticize, you can't use a positive word here. you're going to use a negative word here, right? So nominal cannot be the answer. This is where your vocab training comes in. Okay. While learning vocabulary, you're not just going to learn the meaning of the word. The meaning of the word nominal is low. And the answer you came up with was also low. But nominal has this subtle difference in that sense, it has a positive intonation. Okay. So when you say nominal, it has a positive vibe to it. You cannot just use it in negative places. But what we are looking for here is it is criticized as being of nominal value. So it cannot be criticized of being of nominal value. So option A is wrong. Inestimable. So inestimable is usually used. You can split this. In is a negative prefix and estimable is close to the word estimate, or something that cannot be estimated, something whose value cannot be estimated, which means it has very high value. It's almost infinite. Okay, there is no price you can put on it. You can't say, okay, it's worth $1,000, something like that. Okay, it is so valuable that its value cannot be estimated, which is appraise again. Okay, so it is a positive word. Inestimable is positively used whenever you're using it for value. Its value cannot be estimated, it is that high. Okay, so inestimable is a positive word and does not mean limited or low, so that is also an incorrect option. Indispensable, again you can split this into two parts. In is a negative prefix and dispensable, so to dispense means to get rid of something, to just throw something away. Okay, so indispensable means something that cannot be thrown away, which is that valuable. Again, it's positive. Okay, indispensable and inestimable are almost similar. They are positive adjectives. They are positive describing words. So this is also not similar to limited or low. So we are going to eliminate indispensable. Minimal. Minimal is close to low. So it is of low value. It is of minimal value. Minimal is almost negligible. Okay, so minimal fits our bill. It is close to low. So let's say this is one of the right options. Dubious. Now if you had thought that okay, this word is going to be negative, so this blank has to be filled with a negative word. Okay, the first three are positive words, fine, but the last three are negative words. So if you had come up with your own word or phrase that is just about I'm looking for a negative word, then you'll be stuck with three options out of which you have to choose two. This is why I asked you to be specific about the word or phrase that you come up with in step 6. Okay, use the clues and try to narrow down the word from just negative to something particular. Okay, in this case, we have something called limited or low. Dubious is a word that is used to denote something that is of doubtful origins. Okay, if something is not original, if you have a doubt that it is not original, if you have a doubt that it is not reliable, then it's called dubious. Okay, in this case, we are talking only about adaptability and its use in many circumstances. We are not talking about how suspicious the product is or how reliable the product is. If there was a word reliable here, then dubious would have been the right answer because we're looking for opposites. But the clue talks about adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances, whose contrast is not adaptable, fixed, rigid, or something like that. So dubious cannot be the right answer. This is why I insisted on narrowing down your option, trying to be as specific as possible. Right? So dubious is a negative word, yes. If you just look at dubious and read here, being of dubious value will sound right. It gels well. But that is not the answer because the clue does not support it. Fine. And the last option, limited, is exactly the word we came up with. So that is the right answer. Now there are two important things I would like to highlight here. If you go for just synonyms, you might have chosen nominal and minimal. Okay. And if you have just gone for negative words, then there are three options out of which you have to choose two. You may have got stuck. This is why we insist that you follow this whole procedure. All right. You have to follow all these 7 steps in order to arrive at the answer. Fine. Now let's look at it. While the product is often criticized as being of minimal value, it has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Okay, so people thought it has very little value, something like that, but it has proven adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. Fine. This is almost similar to or equivalent to, while the product is often criticized as being of limited value, it has proven to be surprisingly adaptable and useful in a wide range of circumstances. All right. So this is what sentence equivalence means. You plug the options in the given sentence, and the end result, this sentence and this sentence, S1 and S2, must be equivalent. That is the key here. Okay. So you'll just have to click these 2 options and move on to the next question. This is what you have to do in the exam, right? Let's just quickly recap the strategy. The very first step you have to do is never look at the options before arriving at your answer for the blank. Now I'm gonna also give you a time management strategy along with this. Okay, please pay attention. A text completion question with 1 blank or a sentence equivalence question has only 1 sentence in the question. Okay, so these are the easiest questions on your GRE exam, and it is better to attempt them first and get them right. Okay, now how long can you spend on a sentence equivalence question or a text completion question? For questions with just 1 blank, I would say 45 to 50 seconds. 45 seconds is ideal. Something less than that is even better, as long as you follow all the steps, but 45 seconds. Okay, I'm going to tell you how you can split this 45 seconds. Say you given a sentence, how long do you think you will take to read one sentence? A lot of people say 10 seconds. Okay, a lot of my students can read one sentence in less than 10 seconds, 8 seconds. Okay, but I'm going to say take 15 seconds. It is a particularly long sentence, vicious sentence. Let's say you take 15 seconds to read a sentence. Okay, at the end of this 15 seconds, you do not understand what is happening. You spend another 15 seconds reading the sentence again. Okay, so you spent 30 seconds on this sentence. Fine. In these 30 seconds, what you must do is you must have done these 4 steps, or at least the 3 steps. Okay, hiding your answer, it's a 1-second job. Okay, hiding your options is a 1-second job. You're just gonna hide it using your hand or a paper or whatever. Okay, splitting it into parts, you can do it based on the conjunctions. It could be while, although, but, and, whatever. Okay, you can split it based on that, or you could split it based on the punctuations. There could be a semicolon, there could be a colon, there could be a comma. You can split it based on that. Okay, it will take 5 seconds max, because you'll be able to see all those words very easily. You can spot those words easily. 5 seconds. Okay, noting down the translation word, as long as you have an idea of what translation words are, you'll be able to spot them very easily. So these 3 steps can be done in the first 15 seconds itself. Okay, if you do not understand the sentence and you spend another 15 seconds in reading the sentence, you spend 30 seconds on reading the sentence, which is fine. Okay, if at the end of 30 seconds you have not understood the sentence, then there could be 2 problems. Okay, one of these could be a problem, or both could be problems. Okay, first, that sentence structure is not familiar to you. Okay, it is a very new sentence structure. You haven't seen such a sentence structure before, and hence you're having difficulty understanding the sentence. Second, the vocabulary in the question could be really hard. Okay, so you haven't seen those words before, and even splitting it into parts, finding the roots, nothing helps. So vocabulary is hard, so you're not able to understand the sentence. Okay, take these 2 cases. In either case, spending more time on the sentence is not going to solve the problem for you, because you cannot learn a new sentence structure during the exam, right? And you cannot learn a new word during the exam without looking at a dictionary or something. So if you spend 30 seconds and do not understand the sentence, then it is not worth spending any more time on it. Okay, so you can simply mark some answer and move on. Remember, GRE does not have any negative marks. So if you spend 30 seconds on a TC1 or a sentence equivalence question, and at the end of it, you do not understand the sentence, spending another minute or another 2 minutes on the sentence is not going to solve the problem. Okay, you're just wasting time. So what I would suggest is, if at the end of these 3 steps you're not able to uh, understand the sentence, just mark some option, because you don't have negative marks, guessing is allowed. You can just guess the answers and move ahead. When you guess the answers, when you have no clue about the question and you're guessing the answer, okay, then you can go for synonyms, because you still have 70% chance of getting it right. Okay, but this is the last resort. I would suggest you use this method and understand the sentence as much as possible, and by 30 seconds you would have done all this. Okay, in the next 5 or 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, you can find the word category clearly. Okay, it could either be a naming word, an action word, or a describing word. Just by looking at the blank and the words before and after it, you'll be able to find the word category. And once you find the word category, you've already split the parts, and in the next 5 seconds you can also find the clue for it based on word category match. Okay, so you know that it's going to be an action word, and in the part that does not have a blank, look for action words. That's all. It's as simple as that. You'll spend another 5 seconds. Fine. So for these two, you spend 10 seconds. Come here. Step 6. You use the clue and the transition word or phrase that you found earlier to come up with your own word or phrase. Spend another 5 seconds on it. I'm being very liberal here, okay? When you have to use only 10 seconds for reading a sentence, I gave you 15 seconds. And for second time reading also, I gave you 15 seconds. So after 30 seconds, you spend 15 seconds on this whole process. Okay, these 3 steps, 5 seconds each. Now come to the last part. You're going to look at 6 words and eliminate words that are not similar to the word you have in mind. That's all. Okay, spend another 5 seconds here. So you can finish a sentence equivalence question that is very difficult, that you have to read the sentence twice to understand, in 50 seconds if you use this process. If you're spending more than 50 seconds on a sentence equivalence question, you're not doing something right. Either you're not focusing, or you are not able to understand the sentence, whatever. If you spend more than 50 seconds on a sentence equivalence question, it's better not to spend more than a minute for that. Okay, so if you're spending more than 50 seconds, just give up on it. Either you're not in the right mindset, or you find the sentence itself difficult. There is no way of solving it by spending another minute on it. Better choose some options and move on. Okay, for this, to have confidence in this time management strategy and in this method, you'll have to practice a lot. Now I've given you the strategy. You can even take a screenshot of this if you need, but what I need from you is, take a lot of sentence equivalence questions, apply this method, and whenever you spend more than 50 seconds on it, it's not worth spending that much time on a sentence equivalence or text completion one question. Think of it this way. If you're spending so much time on one sentence, and how much time will you spend on reading comprehension questions? Because there will be a passage with 400 words or something. You'll have to read the passage, understand the question. Even options won't be a single word there in reading comprehension questions. Options could be multiple. It could be sentences. So you'll have to read so many sentences. You need more time there. Okay, so follow the strategy, follow these 7 simple steps. You'll just have to understand the strategy, and this is actually it works on 95% of sentence equivalence questions. Okay, there could be this occasional sentence equivalence question that has only one part in it. It cannot have 2 parts. Okay, for example, take a very simple sentence. The coffee was so hot that he could not touch the mug. Okay, the coffee was so hot that he could not touch the mug. This is one sentence, and you could still have a blank for touch or hot. Okay, so the coffee was so hot that he could not blank the mug. This could be, I'm just giving a very simple sentence. Sentence equivalence questions will not be that simple, but this has only one part in it. How will you split it into two parts and how will you find the clue? Now the trick there is the sentence structure is such that that sentence structure, it actually combines two parts together, just like and does. Okay, the coffee is hot and so he could not touch it. That is the actual meaning conveyed. So there are two parts in it, but the so that structure combines it into one part and hence it makes it difficult. Think of a more complex sentence with so that structure. When you look at it, you won't find two parts in it. You'll find only one part in it, which may prove difficult. That is a 5% sentence equivalence questions I told you, where the strategy may not work. Even then, when you know that so that or to T-O-O-T-O, okay, the copy was too hot to touch, something like that. So whenever such structures are used, you must be able to split it into two parts naturally. Once you do that, this strategy is applicable for all the sentence equivalence questions. It is only when you're not able to find that structure, understand that structure and split it into two parts, that this strategy may not work. And even then, for 95% of sentence equivalence questions, this will work. And this also works for text completion questions. Okay, so don't worry about it. Please have the strategy in mind. Practice with a lot of questions. It is with drill that you'll be able to master the strategy, and be very conscious when you use the strategy. Right?